Hello, welcome back to another pen talk, and thank you very much for tuning in. This video marks somewhat of a milestone. It's my 250th pen video. I've been at this a little over 3 years, and I never expected to be as productive as I am, and I just enjoy it, and I really appreciate my viewers, their comments, the interactions. It adds to my enjoyment of pen. So we need to do something a little bit special for the 250th video. So I decided to go back to my roots. This is a Delta pen, and it has a very interesting story behind it. Last year at the Long Island Pen Show, I went with my friend Steve, and he was interested in certain types of pens. He liked them a little bit girthy, a little bit bulky. So in pursuing and looking at all the vendors' tables and all the different pens that they had on, and I came across this pen just in the tray. I opened it up and I said, whoa. This is a pen that I looked at. I've bid on it on eBay before and was not able to win the auction. So when I looked at the price on the pen, it was 50 bucks. So I showed it to Steve. Steve liked it, so we bought it for $50. And I said, well, let's see what else is on the table. And there were other Deltas on the table, but they were priced appropriately, market priced, so no other buys. So Steve knew I liked this pen, and eventually we ended up doing a swap. He now has my Franklin Christoph Model 19, and I have this one to add to my Delta collection. So one of the things that Steve's an extra fine guy, so when we open this up and look at the nib, you know, the beautiful Delta nib, everything on the pen is branded uniquely. You got a little bit of a logo there. And with all Deltas, you got a B on the right side of the nib to show it's a broad, and you know, that's some decent tipping material on there, 18 karat, rhodium plated, the classic Delta feed on it. I have to admit I'm not a real soccer fan, but in 2002 they won the European Championships in Glasgow, and this pen commemorates that event. All the metal, from what I've read, is sterling on here. Nice little enameled logo at the top of the pen. And it's actually looks like it's lined up pretty good, so one of our other pen reviewers would appreciate the quality and craftsmanship that's gone into this. It has some good weight to it. Typical unscrew, post well. I mean, this is representative to me of what made Delta a great pen manufacturer. Sadly, they're no longer making pens, at least as far as I can tell. They disappeared quietly into the night, unlike some other Italian pen manufacturers, and I'll miss them. I think this pen is representative of kind of their heyday in the late 90s and early 2000s, where I think they were making their own nibs, or at least they were certainly making nibs that were quite nice. They always made kind of girthy pens. You know, the machining is perfect. The weight is great. The balance is good. I mean, these are great writing instruments, and I'm very happy to add this to my collection, and maybe my last, but, you know, never say never. So this is part of a Delta series. It's just a short little excerpt from my collection. These are pens which are all themed, and Delta was nice at doing themes for their pens. I've done reviews on each of these individuals, so I'm not going to go into great detail with them here, but you have the Hong Kong one made of ebonite to celebrate the transfer of Hong Kong to China. You have the 50th anniversary of Israel, King Tutankhamun pen. You have a Tuareg, this is part of the indigenous people, or, you know, and this is, to me, is my highlight, is this one here, which is just beautiful. And all the pens, as you saw on the Real Madrid one, they all have incredible detail. All the detail all blends together. You know, it's all a theme. So not too many people now making pens themes like this, and if they do, they're extremely highly priced. You know, this Adivasi is limited edition. It's just well made. I just really appreciate that, and it's sad that we're not going to see these made anymore. But we need to ink up the Delta, see how that broad nib performs. I have high expectations for it. And as usual, Delta provides you with some excellent eye candy, in addition to a historical piece that's representative of an event in history, and commemorating it with something that is themed properly, designed properly, made well. Here's something I found on eBay. These are very hard to find, and when you do find them, they're fairly expensive, so I'm very happy to have added this to my collection. So one of the things that's always nice about Deltas is they have a branded converter, which is well made. Easily to take apart. You just unscrew this metal section here and the whole thing comes apart. The other thing that's nice is they're screwed into the section. Nice metal band here to keep the pen and converter in good working order, good seal. So that just screws in. So you know it's nice and tight. You know it's not going anywhere. So we're going to fill this up, and I've been on a Robert Oster kick recently, and I just want something that really commemorates the blue in the pen. So we're going to do Soda Pop Blue, which is an art, and ink that I got directly from Robert Oster in Australia from the website. Viewers have asked to show how converters come apart. So this silver band unscrews from the top of the converter. This red piece is what works with the screw to keep it aligned, and then this is what moves it up and down. So I wasn't happy with how the piston felt. It was a little bit sticky. So we're going to get our trusty pure silicone grease. We're going to grease the piston seal, and I'm pretty liberal with using silicone grease. We're going to insert that into the converter, and then we're going to put silicone grease on the threads of the converter. Probably better to put in the little red piece here first, because that'll slide down some silicone grease. And like I say, I'm liberal with my silicone grease. I was going to put some on the threads here where that cap band is going to screw into. Doesn't hurt, makes certain things are sealed up and makes them easier to take apart later on. And the next piece is the piston activator. So it slides up and down a little bit easier than it did before, so that's nice. Wipe the silicone grease off my hands, and you can see those threads inside that metal cap. They slip down here, and we screw it in place. You always got to remember to keep the piston down when you're screwing it on and off, so that way it doesn't impact it. So there we go. And it's still not the smoothest piston, but I'm certain it has a nice seal to it, so that's how it goes. I've also put some silicone grease on these threads here where it goes into the section. Again, I silicone grease as much as possible because I think it makes things work smoother, seals things better, and makes them easy to disassemble. It's usually pretty easy to get a full fill. I did my 3 fulls and empty. Didn't notice that little ink that's on the converter. We'll just clean that up. This pen has been used. It's over, close to 16 years old. So one of the challenges with these 100 milliliter bottles is getting the pen in there so you can pull up ink through with the converter. So I'm probably going to transfer this to some of my like 15 milliliter bottles that I can use to fill from. So one of the things I like about Soda Pop Blue, it is a blue ink. You know, it's not chromatography, a little differently. I showed chromatography when I first reviewed the ink. So is all the deltas I'm pretty familiar with. This fits fine in the hand. It's like the mid-sized Dulce Vita, if you have one of those. You know, good size section here. The threads you don't feel at all. And there's a little step up here, but you can really hold this pen anywhere. It's light. It posts well. That capsule heavy will give you those weights. So you do notice a change in the balance when you post it. So I would probably not write with this pen posted. Just, you know, it's a personal preference, but some people like to post, so it will if that's what you like to do. You can see there's some hard starts, but this pen has a small sweet spot, which is something I would work on with some micro mesh to correct. I think it's an easy thing to do, but it lays down a lot of ink. I mean, this is definitely a broad wet writer. Not something I'm used to with deltas. Yeah, reverse writing works fine. You know, once it gets flowing, it does a nice job. You know, nice broad nib, and it's a wet nib, and it's a beautiful blue ink. So I'm not going to rate this pen because it's kind of a one-of-a-kind, limited edition, you know. But I love my deltas, and I'm glad this has joined my collection. And it's nice to have 250 videos. And a phenomenal audience of viewers who participate. So this is an interactive adventure, and all of us are learning as we go and sharing what we learn. So that's really nice, and that's what makes this media work for me. So thank you for watching. And like I say, I'm not concerned about getting this retuned. I worked with it with another ink before I put the Robert Oster in, and it didn't have this hard starting or type of issues that it's having now. So it may be a little bit of ink and pen incompatibility, which I think deltas are sensitive to. But you know, it's been a while since I've inked one up, and so I need to get back into understanding them. And as all writing instruments are, they're analog instruments, handmade, so they sometimes require a little tuning or adjustment when they change owners. So may you have many, many great pen writing experiences. May you not experience the hard starts that I'm having here. So until the next time, may you have and enjoy all the great, wonderful world of pens. Explore, take some chances, you know, bask in the rewards. So until the next video, it's bye for now. The nib's also a little soft, but you know, I have to get used to writing with it, so we'll do that. It's something that I'll enjoy doing. So until the next video, we'll say bye for now. Nice soft nib, nice blue ink, nice hard starts and stops. Well, we couldn't leave the video with the pen not writing properly, so I did my tuning, which I'm comfortable doing. So one of the things that I did was the tines were slightly misaligned, so I lined them up. I did a little bit of smoothing because I thought there might be some baby's bottom there. I made certain that the nib and feed were properly seated. It still looks a little off there, but we'll get back to that later. And I also did a brass shim in between the tines, and changed out the ink. So those things, who knows what exactly fixed the problem, but I'm declaring the problem fixed, and we're going to put nib back on paper to prove it. So I'm going to put this ink in. I still want to do a blue ink, and this may a little bit more friendly to the Delta. In cleaning it out, I think the feed doesn't work as well as I expect it to. It seems to be slightly restricted, so if this doesn't work, the next thing to do is to pull the nib and feed apart and see if I can open up the channel. Just wanted to show the differences between the two color inks, the Miki blue down here. So I think you can notice it's even wetter. And this ink is certainly a very nice blue. So part of the thing with pens is playing around with them and getting them to work. So I'm now very satisfied. It's still going to be a little bit, the way the nib works, it's going to require a little bit of effort to get the flow the way you want. But I'm impressed with the fact that the nib is a little soft, and you push down on it and it's medium pressure. It just gushes out ink. So this is a very good broad nib. So now we're going to do another buy. And I'm going to go enjoy my pen.